After the win in Vegas, not super surprised to see the Avs have a bit of a letdown game playing their first home game in 7 games and it being a back-to-back. So, not a surprise, but still not great. Avs lose to the Anaheim Ducks 5-2. Before we break down the game, we have the 3 winners of the DNVR Power Play Twitter game to get to. We have the worst score and the 2 best scores on this one. Starting off with the worst score, at Murray Center 27 takes a minus 165 points. That's pretty impressively bad, considering you would do significantly better if you had just hit the game over on your first pull. On the other side, our second best score goes to at NHL Graves, pulling a massive 976. There's basically 2 key components to getting a beast of a score right now. That's the big 300-point 3-headed monster and the 2-time score for Lord Stanley's Cup. And at the top, the crowned champion for the first time for the DNVR Power Play is at Avs Guy 19, taking an insane score of 1,400 points. Not only getting the 3-headed monster, but getting 2 of the 2-time scorecards. You're getting into crazy territory with 1,400. Congratulations to all 3 winners. Let's jump into this review. It did not take long to tell that the Avs were just going to be off in this game. Less than a minute in, they give up a bit of a doozy of a goal. A 3-on-3 rush here. The Ducks go to the near boards. Cale goes to the outside and gets around Girard. Maybe recognizes Girard might not be strong enough to knock him off the puck so he can get in deep. Couple things to note here. You have a forward getting back deep covering the man, and that leaves Erik Johnson in a bit of no man's land here. He's now not really covering anything. You can see there's no Duck anywhere near him besides the one that's being covered. And Johnson completely comes to a stop here. He doesn't keep his feet moving and is essentially just covering nothing. Donskoy also gets a bit out of position onto the back check as well. Cale makes a nice pass, recognizing Johnson is just too deep here. No one's in the passing lane. It comes right through to Henrique. Donskoy just not quite able to get there. And now Johnson is stuck in no man's land. Can't do anything about the shots. Has to try and block it, but all he really does is ends up screening Francouz. No clear line of sight, and into the back of the net it goes. And that kind of sums up the entire game. Everything was just a half step off. If Donskoy was a half step faster coming back, he could be in the passing lane. If EJ was a half step higher, he could have been in the passing lane, but neither were, and they both ended up hanging Francouz out to dry. The game got a little funky from there. Possession was relatively even, but the Avs passing was sloppy, and they were settling for low-quality shots, while the Ducks were whipping the puck around the offensive zone, and the Avs were very discombobulated, just kind of getting beat at every turn. Despite these struggles, the Avs actually survive for a while. They're getting outplayed, but they're not making major mistakes. The problem is, once the major mistake comes, they immediately pay for it. This puck's going to get slapped out to the neutral zone. You're going to notice the Avs have 3 players deep, including defenseman Erik Johnson. So the players back are Sam Girard and Nathan MacKinnon. As the puck is getting carried out, MacKinnon, as one of the players back, has a decision to make. He can either try and take the risky play and be aggressive on the puck carrier here. He needs to either take the puck or take the player, if that's what he's going to do, or he can circle back and create a 2-on-2 situation. He opts to go aggressive, goes right at the puck, just gets walked around easily as his body momentum was not in the correct position, and because he's being aggressive and going on the puck here, he now has no momentum going backwards either. So this creates a 2-on-1 play where MacKinnon just took himself out of the play entirely. A little bit too high risk if you're one of the last 2 players back for me. Sometimes you have to take risks, but it ends up costing him badly there and removing him from the play entirely. Girard waits as long as he can before committing to the puck carrier, probably hoping MacKinnon could be a little bit faster on the back check. He's not there. Girard doesn't do a great job of taking the body and just gets walked around a little bit here, opening up a passing lane across to the other side. And really, there's nothing Francouz can do about that one. It's just a tap-in for Rowney. This was a struggle of a game for the Avs top line as a whole. McKinnon had a rough play like that, and he was still arguably the best player for the Avs on that top line. We'll get into all of that a bit more later. The Avs do get a power play chance after that in the first period, and it looks okay at times, but not great. When McKinnon is skating with the puck, I think it opens up a lot of things on the Avs power play. He starts moving and other forwards start moving. You get kind of flow going in the offensive zone. When no one's moving and they settle for a shot from the point, it gets old fast. So the Avs do not end up scoring on that power play. It remains 2-0, and they squander the rest of the period by taking 2 penalties of their own. They are able to kill them, which is good. They're still in the game, but they weren't able to close the gap down. One silver lining of this game is the Avs got a lot of penalties out of Anaheim. They drew a good number there, and really it's the only reason this game was even close. Despite the bad power plays, which the Avs did have a couple of, they still went 2 for 6 on the night. So you'll take a 33% power play every day of the week. The problems here were more 5-on-5. 2 of those power plays came early in the second period. The first one they do not score on, but Landeskog does ring a post, the 13th bad post of the season, and we need to talk about Landeskog for a second. Landeskog's a great player. He's a great captain, but it's been a handful of games that he's struggled in now. Something is just off. I don't know what, but it's been a couple of legitimately bad games for him, and 2 that just, he doesn't seem right. Nothing great, nothing good, just kind of okay at best or worse. And every player has some stretches like this. That's fine, but Landy has for so long been the rock of that top line, the most consistent player. He might have one off game or one bad game, but then he's usually right back on the horse, back to his usual self, and we're talking about 4 or 5 consecutive games now where he's struggling. I don't want to make too much of a point of it because I'm sure he'll get it back together very soon, but it's games like this one where the Avs can't afford him to have a bad one. Thankfully, that second power play early in the second period ends up coming through, because when you take enough penalties, you're bound to take a tough bounce, and the Avs actually managed to get one here. First of all, great keep by Andrei Burakovsky on an attempted clear that ends up pinballing out and around towards the blue line here. This play doesn't end up happening without that extra work from Burakovsky. He gets it down in deep to Donskoy, who collects it and goes in down below the goal line. To be honest, I don't even think he was trying to shoot this puck. He's walking in and trying to find the man out in the slot. But Ryan Miller is kind of a long, tall dude, and he has a long, tall stick, and he sticks that stick out. The puck bounces directly off of it and through him. Here's the reverse side angle, and you'll see the puck bounce right off of the thick of Miller's stick here to beat himself. And that's the beauty of hockey and sports in general. It only takes one, and the Avs are right back in it. Despite the struggles with the puck that they're having in this game, it's a easy game to get back into. I really don't think that second line had a spectacular game, but you'll take the depth goals however you get them. So the Avs get a bounce. You're thinking maybe they can turn things around, but you remember how I said when you take penalties, you're bound to get a bounce against you? Well, that goes the other way as well. A bit of an odd play. Landeskog has the puck and is carrying it through the neutral zone. He dumps it in and ends up taking a touch of a late hit from Goodbranson. It was borderline. Could have called it. Not going to complain too much that they didn't call it. But this made Landy mad. He comes back the other way on the play and just straight up blows a guy up that hadn't touched the puck in 5+ seconds. That one is clearly a penalty. You gotta be smarter than that. You cannot take dumb penalties. When you do, you get scored on. Every single player that plays on the Avs power play needs to take notes on this goal. The Avs have 3 players deep. They're giving up a ton of space. Matt Nieto out high. The puck is going to get fed to Getzlav here. And look at Getzlav. He's not fast about it. He takes his sweet time, but he recognizes he has a million miles of space to walk into. So instead of standing there, not moving his feet, not taking advantage, that's exactly what he does. He doesn't do it in a hurry, but he just kind of takes one step in, realizes he can keep going, see, head up, knows how much room he has, takes another step in, gets ready to shoot as he expects them to collapse. They still don't really come collapse on him, so he glides in even further, getting as close to the goal as he physically can before taking this shot. Now it's a whole mess of a play. The Avs have 2 players in the lane trying to block a shot. First of all, that's not great. You just end up screening your goalie when you're doing that. This one gets through Johnson, and the Avs play the own goal game for the 5th time this year. Graves has his stick in the lane, but it deflects off of it and over Francouz. Some pretty simple hockey basics here. The closer you are to the net when you shoot, the more likely that the puck is going to go into that net. Ryan Getzlaf clearly understands that, and he got a lucky bounce because of it. The Avs power play, they don't seem to understand that so well. In fact, I don't even want to rip on the Avs power play because they scored 2 goals in this game, but the Avs in general, this whole game long, were settling for shots from the outside, not penetrating, not doing what you need to do to generate high-quality chances. To be fair, the Ducks weren't just giving away space all the way into the face-off dots because that's just bad defense, but the Avs were not doing enough either. So the Ducks get their 2-goal lead back with half the game still to go, and they start to sit back. It's pretty clear the Avs are struggling to get quality offense, and they know it. They know they can just kind of hold on to this one, particularly a Ducks team that, at least in the past, was known for being able to grind games out like this. With more opportunity with the puck, the Avs do start getting some more chances and some better chances, but things just aren't clicking. Maybe some exhaustion from the back-to-back. Maybe it's because they've been on a 6-game road trip and got to sleep in their own beds for a night. But whatever reason, things were still not clicking. You'd have a cross-crease pass from Calvert to Belmar that just doesn't quite go to the tape, so they can't jam it in. You have opportunities from in tight that miss the net entirely. Things just weren't adding up. They're still down 2 after 2 periods, and the Avs' worst line through those 2 periods was probably the top line. They were getting completely dominated in possession, and they weren't generating much of value at all. After looking like a great fit in his first game on the top line, Compher got pretty exposed in this game and did not look in place at all. McKinnon was out there doing that thing where he looks like he's trying really hard. I'm sure he's trying really hard, but it just didn't generate much. This is, I hate to use the cliche, but I'm going to use it, the exact type of game where you need your best players to be your best players. And through the first 2 periods, McKinnon especially was not that. But in the 3rd period, you at least saw a little bit of it. The Avs get another power play early in the 3rd period. And yes, McKinnon is the guy that makes a beautiful play to finish this, but we're going to talk about Cale Makar too. On the power play, Makar picks up the puck in his own zone and just takes off up the ice. He gets up to speed, no drop pass, nothing like that here. Makar's just taking this one. He's coming in directly on Cam Fowler. He's going to make a dirty little shimmy move to the outside and use his speed to get around Fowler clean. This allows him to go all the way around for a lap around the zone. He continues to beat people to the outside all the way back up to the point here. There seems to be a little bit of confusion. Max expecting a pass to come to him here, but it doesn't come, and they adjust extremely effectively. Look at this stop on a dime Makar makes here to just leave the forward on him in the absolute dust. Just a total blowout of a tire here, and Makar has a ton of room, and Mac plays off of it extremely well, stepping into the space. Remember, the Avs are on a power play. A guy not only committed out high, but blows a tire. Now it's essentially a 5-on-3. Mac gets the puck here off of a nice little 2-touch passing play, fires off a shot that gets saved initially, but the Avs stay hungry. They stay on the puck, and the Mac shot does create a big rebound as well. Compher, after a struggle of a game, is able to jump on a puck here and do just enough to keep the play alive, as Mac just kind of floats out into the soft spot, into the empty space. The puck comes to him because it always comes to the best players. He does have to take it on the backhand here, but he knows how to roof it, and he makes sure he does. McKinnon shows up in the big moment as the Avs need him to and makes it a 1-goal game. But that is an unreal breakout from Cale Makar, and that's just a tiny little taste of what Makar is going to do not only in his career, but what he did in this game. The rest of this game is kind of sadness, so instead let's take a minute to just watch some Makar highlights. When he skates the puck on a power play breakout, he makes people look straight up silly. Look at this fake drop pass. It's just a thing of absolute beauty. He also seems to be a bit like a cat. The laws of physics don't apply. His move to the outside, he can slip by anybody. Did I mention he can play some silly good defense too? And if you need him to, he will blow somebody up. In short, Makar is going to be one of the best defensemen in the league if he's not already. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. So the Avs are making it a one-goal game again. They have a chance to still be in this game, and then the Ducks start pushing back. The Avs are struggling again. Francouz is doing his best to keep them in it. He makes a couple of nice saves, but the team kind of just folds. The Ducks are going to slow play this zone entry. It's a 3-on-3 situation, but they pull up and wait for everyone to get back and into the zone. And the Avs are set up. They're in the defense that they more or less want here. And I don't understand it. I don't know what they're trying to do with their defensemen. Again, much like the first goal of the game, the defenseman on the right, this time it's Ryan Graves instead of Eric Johnson, ends up defending essentially nothing. As the puck comes in and down the boards, it's eventually going to come across the seam. And Graves is not in a passing lane. He's not in any situation to stop a player or get in and battle with a stick or anything. He's just not covering anything right now. And to make matters worse, on the near side, Zadorov is going to lose track of his man as this puck comes through and a scramble begins in front of the nets. Comtois just kind of rolls in, finds a loose puck, and it ends up getting knocked in as he goes between his legs. There's only a couple of things that I see that being. It's either a system thing where the Avs want that defenseman to be in roughly that area, and if they end up overloading one side or moving the forward in deep outside of that zone, the Avs system doesn't really have an answer to it. Or two, that's the fallback plan, and the defenseman doesn't really know where he needs to be on the play, and if that's what it is, it just comes down to needing more alertness and needing to understand where the offensive players are on the ice. The battle in front was kind of a mess. The Avs have for a long time struggled to win net front battles defensively, and with a goalie like Francouz, one of his weaknesses is giving up those types of rebounds. It's going to be kind of a struggle if you can't manage that. And that was realistically the end of the game. The Avs spend the rest of the third period fighting themselves as much as they do trying to fight off the Ducks. Again, their passes just weren't clicking most of the time. The one skill play where they actually put it together, McKinnon and Nieto made a couple of nice passes to get through the neutral zone and into the offensive zone, giving McKinnon a chance in tight on the backhand, but Miller stuck with it and was able to make the blocker save, and you knew it was over then. And some credit to Ryan Miller. He made 35 saves on 37 shots. That is very good goaltending, but again, the Avs settled for a lot of low-quality chances there. The game gets capped off with McKinnon getting beat out for a puck and it getting dumped into the empty net just to kind of reaffirm the struggle it was for the top line, which, by the way, got completely broken up. For a lot of the third period, the entire lineup was just a complete blender, trying to figure out something, trying to get something going. It just didn't happen. So a lot of negatives in this game, a lot of bad, but not a big deal. One, because the Avs are still 8-2-1 and right at the top of the Western Conference. But two, when you look at it, this really was one of those letdown games. Once they smashed Vegas in Vegas at the start of this back-to-back, they haven't been home in forever. You could kind of see this one coming a little bit. And obviously hindsight is 20/20 there, but this is kind of a classic thing around the league. The schedule remains incredibly weird, and the Avs now have another bunch of days off before they play again, which is kind of a fine situation. They can reset themselves again, come back hungry. It's a couple more days as Rantanen inches closer to health. Still a ways off, but you'll take anything you can get on that front. The Avs have had a couple of bad games now, but they still haven't had two in a row, and they still look great at times. Look at Cale Makar in this game. It hasn't been a complete meltdown. That is the end of this game video review. Thank you for watching, and if you like content like this, consider heading over to thednvr.com and signing up for a membership. And if you really love me, consider signing up and using code RUDO as your promo code on an annual membership or higher, and it helps me out a little bit as we're running a bit of a contest where someone's going to win Breck Brew for an entire year. Could be me. I am Rudo, and seriously though, Makar is just a straight baller.
Avalanche time, come on, grab your friends. We're going to the playoffs again with Nate.